15 seconds.
Indeed, for well, also known as the murder hole for some people who watch Overwatch League, of course, and that's because in the middle we have this big old hole in which you can get so many environmental kills from your booping people, like your Primal Raging Winstons, your Lucios, your Divas, your Pharahs, and other such heroes, and those give you some instant kills, and not only do the instant kills remove people from the game, it also means that they cannot be rezzed should a Mercy be in play, and that's one of the main reasons why you want to get those environmental kills. However, as we prepare to leave the spawn here, doesn't like both of our teams are going to be going for some sort of dive competition. We see both Nox and Christopher on their signature Winstons, very prolific heroes, so both of them both known as incredibly aggressive Winstons, but Christopher's dives thus far in the competition haven't been that clean. We often see him engaging with like half health or without that much support behind him. It's going to be up to Danny to keep him safe.
Yeah, that might come. That might lead later on to a couple of troubles when it comes to coordinating dives against Eagle Gaming. Although I say that, as Nico's already going to fall down. Fisher finding the first bird, then actually just forced down in this corridor as well. Not a good start from Eagle Gaming. They're going to lose the first fight. A very, very quick reset though. Fisher's trying to find some more chip damage, but not really quite sure what happened to Eco. It was a blink of an eye. It was already dead.
Both teams have opted for the DPS duo of the Sombra and the Tracer. So here, everyone needs to be very careful about going out where their team cannot cover them, because someone needs to get on that Sombra, and they only have 0.65 seconds to interrupt the hack before it can completely remove someone's ability to get away from a dive.
Nico playing extremely aggressive, actually on the point, completely ignored by Mosaic for the time being. He can use that recall to kind of back off and make sure he stays safe, but first Coalescence is going to come out. It's going to come out on the side of Hip. He's going to be able to force his way onto the point. A big hack onto Danny does make sure his mech disappears. Nico's going to be able to chase down Foxes as well. That's a pulse bomb for Nico to start off the round, and that'll be a cap for them as well. So despite the early loss of Nico, they still managed to cap the point.
No, he hacked through onto Fisher, sealed his fate, couldn't blink away, couldn't recall either. They turned off his Chronal Accelerator and quickly met his doom after that, and then Spoxes was laid upon by Nico. And look at Eagle Gaming and the cornucopia of ultimates which they are accruing for themselves. Mosaic eSports on the other side, they're going to have a few as well. Fisher's already spent a pulse on it, everything else is coming up. It may well be an ultimate showdown for the next fight. Eagle Gaming have got the first cap and starting to accrue percentage, but Mosaic can flip this back in short order.
Yeah, like you said, Nico was trying to find an early pick-off. Spoxes finds himself onto the back line. A big EMP does land. That's a couple of members going down. Get Amaze in a lot of trouble, but Nox is going to be there with the barrel to save him for the time being. A sound barrier did come out from Eagle Gaming to make sure they're not as squishy, but already Hip and Flippy falling. Nico's trying to get work done in the back line, but a very slippery Sombra isn't going to quite escape his sights just yet. And even Pippo actually finds a boot kill onto Danny into the pit. Nico's going to be able to clean everybody up, showing his fancy skills, the dash and the melee, to pick up the rest of the team. Fisher and Christopher end up falling down, and that'll be 50% now on the clock for Eagle.
Pippi there's for real here. He managed to stay out of range of the EMP and then lay down the sand barrier after. Usually you want to wait for the sand barrier to come out when you use your EMP, because it can strip away the overshield to make that ultimate incredibly, just entirely useless. Mono, however, can try and make a counter sand barrier now. Flippy does have the EMP in his back pocket though, so he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to try and hang back and wait for that to be used, and there it is.
Another big EMP, but again, the Lucios do stay in cover to make sure they don't get picked up. Fisher with a pulse bomb on the back line kills Nox, but Nico's already found two of his own. He's still providing quite a bit of nuisance to Hip, but activating that Coalescence should end the fight rather swiftly, as Pippi does find his equal in mono. Still acquiring that percent, like you were saying. They are 80 on the board right now, but haven't got really any ultimates left to work with.
Potentially a little bit frivolous on the use of the Coalescence there, but it can be built rather quickly, so we're not going to hold that against Hip. Now, Danny and Christopher, they have the tank ultimates up, and it's time for them to get onto the point and stall this out, but Christopher's already been hacked. He's not going to be able to get angry for a little while now.
Yeah, and he can't jump in onto the back line, where it's exactly where Danny wants to be as well. A big EMP does land. He's going to find Hip, and he's not going to be able to use that fade ability to get away. Nico's trying to duck behind cover here, trying to find a little bit more overtime on that point. Obviously 99% now, and that will be the rest of Eagle Gaming falling around him. Mosaic aren't going to be able to reclaim the point.
And you can see why the Winstons are so important here for trying to follow up the hacks, because it's so hard to get away from a Winston or try and negate the damage coming in towards you when you have been hacked. And also the Winstons, they're very important for getting constant damage onto the Sombra, because while the Sombra is taking constant damage, they can't get off the hack. And otherwise, it's a little bit more precarious to try and cancel out with such a short cast time. Now, Mosaic, they need to win one fight. The defense of Mosaic must be perfect, it must be impervious, and it must be well fortified.
Pulse bomb already thrown out by Nico, doesn't quite find it. Either Coalescence from Kodak, and a big hack going on to Nico means he can't really escape. He's going to have to find cover for the time being. Spox is actually trying to help him and just chase him down. Not trying to help him, actually, just trying to help him go back to spawn. He's going to try and kill him off. Kodak goes down to here, but D-Mech on to get Amaze, though, is going to be quite crucial. Nox still with that Primal Rage, can stall out for a long time yet, but Get Amaze going down is going to be oh so problematic for Eagle Gaming, as only one tank remains. Still healing up on the point. They should be able to get some respawns in here as Christopher has to exit the fight rather quickly as he was half HP already. Spox is trying to build up towards that EMP, although no really where near just yet. Another Coalescence does come out from Eagle Gaming, but an EMP not quite available to strip those sound barriers away from Mosaic. But Flippy finds the hack onto Spox's, and they're going to be able to reclaim the point. Overtime is still in progress, still ticking through, but Flippy finally finds the EMP he was looking for. Christopher, with no abilities left and no gas in the tank, doesn't manage to get away just yet. Danny with the self-destruct isn't going to quite find anybody, and that will be overtime ticking through as Danny ends up hitting the floor.
And you can see when these hacks occur with big EMPs, the main target that you go after is usually the Moira, either Hip or Kodak, being the unlucky recipient of a rather angry gorilla guest at their doorstep, and that's because Moira isn't really taken down that much in terms of both her healing and her damage output while she's hacked. She can't send out the orbs, but the main thing is she can't fade away, and that's the main defensive capability of Moira, and it makes her an incredibly difficult target to dive when she's not been hacked. So you need to make the most of that small window where she can't escape and collapse upon her after the EMP, and we saw both teams trying to do that. Both Hip and Kodak suffering the consequences of the hack, but unfortunately the Sombras weren't going to give them much of an escape route.
It's always funny watching a Sombra hack a Sombra because they both come up to each other, palms are ready. They're so steady and making sure they don't get the hack off, because the first person that does,
for world's most elite high five.
Yeah. Not quite, well, I'm not sure quite about that one, but hey, Flippy's going to go the winner this time around for Eagle Gaming, so not on the Sombras. Mosaic actually quite happy, in fact, to stick with the Sombras. Spox is going to be piloting that one, but Flippy's going to be a hard target to take down here. Danny and Christopher are going to have to commit to him on this high ground.
Now Mosaic have taken the pack at the back of this, but they sort of want to get onto a point where there are very few health packs available unless you go out of the back. So now Spox needs to make the commute round to get that hack so that everyone from the side of Mosaic eSports can get out there and get the healing done.
Nico seems completely untested. Danny, however, is going to make sure Flippy doesn't have an influence in the fight just yet. Fisher finds a pulse bomb onto Get Amaze Mech, and a big hack onto Nico actually is going to send him back to the grave. And that will be Mosaic eSports finding the fight and claiming the point in a couple of moments, although I say that. Nox
going on a holiday.
Taking a little trip
seaside break.
The lights out.
Ilios is beautiful. There we go, and he's finally hacking the pack at the back of the point. That's going to make it very defensible here for Mosaic eSports, because they can move out the back. They're going to get every 2 seconds 75 healing. That's quite a bit. That's like 32.5, 37.5 healing per second. It's quite a bit. That's about as much Harmony Orb extra for your team if you're using it to its fullest advantage, and also they've got a Coalescence. However, Eagle Gaming, they did quite a bit of damage in that last fight. Flippy decided he's going to forgo the Widow, move on to the Sombra himself. They've got this health pack hacked here. It's going to mean that they're a little bit more safe to play from this area.
Well, they are moving in just now. A hack, I do believe, that actually landed on Get Amazed, and that will be Nox actually committing to the fight, committing to the engagement, although Nox is already going to fall. There'll be 2 Coalescences crossing streams right now. We are on the board with Spoxes, who has got that EMP. He's very, very far up right now. He knows he can just throw that translocator in and try and get a big hack, but it does look like Eagle Gaming are going to just disengage for the time being. Nox did fall, remember, so they aren't willing to take it without their second tank.
Escape Translocator is in place, so he's going to be coming around the back looking for an EMP. His main target will likely be Hip, but at the moment he's going to settle for Pippu. There it is for solo EMP.
Oh, the hack into the EMP as well to seal the fate of Pippu, although they do trade it back onto Kodak here, so 2 supports down, 1 on each side. Self-destruct in the center of it all. Not sure that was... Oh, it's actually going to kill Hip. I take that completely back. I'm like, that's going to be pretty easy to avoid. Apparently not for Hip, who was... caught unawares, it seems. Danny ends up going down to Nico, who seems uncontested right now until he actually gets hacked by Spoxes. He's taking the high ground and completely ignored yet again. He's 80% onto another EMP. This guy is ready to rumble. He's meaning business.
He's getting in there, but it's going to be Pippu who puts a full stop on this sentence. Down goes Spoxes, and now it's just Christopher with his large simian body that's keeping this point in the favour of Mosaic eSports as they accrue that percentage, 86% thus far, and the respawn's just coming in because every moment they gain, they are gaining more percentage.
Well, there's the pulse one ready for Nico yet again. It was actually a hit that got some revenge, got inside for a nice 2-piece, and that was only the Lucio left. One who ends up going down. That's a 98% change over here, so it's now in control of Eagle Gaming. They've got a fair few ults available to them, and most importantly, they've got that EMP.
Mosaic eSports is going to be pretty happy with that. They now have about 100 seconds or 90 to build up an ultimate bank to go in with maybe 6 ultimates or a huge ultimate advantage. We've got to drag some out of Eagle Gaming first, though. Flippy may well be the first to use it with the EMP, but there's also a Coalescence already been in straight with the EMP.
Top of Hip, he goes down without a flash. Nico is going to find the pulse bomb to Christopher to trade it up. A big EMP will come through if Spoxes can make it so, although everybody actually dashed away onto the point. Can't quite find the hack on the D.Va either. He's not doing a good job right now trying to chase down these tanks, although I say that, he does use that Translocator to reposition himself, but Nico handily taking care of the rest of his teammates on the point. That Coalescence just for style points, it seems, as Spoxes and Danny end up going for the quick resets.
Indeed, Hip and Pipu both fell together there, so Pipu was respawning with Hip and obviously could use a speed boost to get him back to the fight in pretty good time and bring that Coalescence in for reinforcement purposes and of course burn down Spoxes, who was not a fan of that particular ultimate. Now Mono is going to be shepherding in the remainder of Mosaic eSports, but quite a bit was invested there, both of their offensive ultimates. Now they've only got the Coalescence and the self-destruct to try and make this work.
Nico goes in with the pulse bomb, targets Christopher yet again. We've seen so many traces just making sure they take the tanks out of the fight first, and you can see why Mosaic really uncertain about pushing forward without Christopher. He does have that primal rage as well, but they are giving up a lot of time on this point, Legday.
They are giving up quite a bit of time, but they're not giving up that many ultimates. They've still got the Primal Rage, and they've still got the Sound Barrier as well. Two great ultimates to stall at a point. Out comes a Coalescence from Kodak, though.
Coalescence to keep his D.Va alive. And he was hacked, and he does have that EMP. A big sound barrier comes through for Eagle Gaming, hitting 4 members, but Fisher is just going to rip through them regardless. Pipu finds the boop onto Mono, but you can see Nico, again, completely uncontested, just chewing away at Danny's mech. Self-destruct in the corner of the point should be fairly easily avoided here. They are going to be able to contest as well. Overtime is now ticking through and ticking over. Just need to be able to clean that point of that mech. The big pulse bomb there is going to be able to make sure she gets ejected, and Nox is going to batter up in the air. There's no escaping the Primal Rage and Winston at that point, but Spoxes actually comes in with an EMP of his own and even a sound barrier as well from Mosaic to make sure they can all stay alive. This could be Mosaic taking it to a third map here, although Hit does have that Coalescence. He's sending it out. Big boot from Christopher is going to send the baby D.Va over the edge. Can't use that Bunny Buster to get back in the mech anymore, and Get Amaze is actually going to find the remech here as well. Actually, wasn't quite a knockoff by Christopher just yet, and that is going to be the kill feed all glowing red for Eagle Gaming, as once again Danny finds himself onto the point and instantly demeched.
Reinforcement there, just a little bit too overwhelming for Mosaic eSports to take it. That means Eagle Gaming will claim Ilios 2-0. And there it just felt like the layering up of the sound barrier and the EMP sort of made sure that they could sustain that fight for long. They just wanted to take it all out in one burst, but they didn't get as much value from the sound barrier or the EMP as they'd like. There just weren't enough members there to make it so. Mono got like 3 people with the sound barrier, and I think Spox has got about as many enemies with the EMP.
Yeah, the layering of the ults, I mean, if you kind of pace those out like we saw Eagle Gaming did, maybe they would have been able to flip that point around and pick up that 99% overtime. But regardless of that, we will see Eagle Gaming take a 2-0 on Ilios. So we're going to be right back, guys. We'll just jump into a short break, and we're back with map number 2. Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Eagle Gaming versus Mosaic. We just saw Eagle Gaming take a rather convincing 2-0 over Mosaic on Ilios. That was quite a rampage at the end there. It was very, very close, 99% to 99 on Lighthouse. But the issue is, like we pointed out before, the layering of the ultimates coming through from Mosaic were just was in their detriment.
Yeah, not quite as much coordination as we would have liked to have hoped from that. Mono maybe calling that out, and someone was just getting a little bit overexcited. I'm going to throw in VMP too. We'll finish this out quickly, claim ourselves a map, and go over to Ruins. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And now it will be the choice of Mosaic as to where we go for our hybrid map, and it does look like it's going to be Hollywood.
All right, okay. This actually plays into Eagle Gaming's ballpark a fair bit here with Flippy on that Widowmaker and that full dive that Eagle Gaming so love to run with this current roster. How does Mosaic actually match up into this one? Because we've seen Christopher play Reinhardt, and he is a hell of a Reinhardt, but this Winston has been a little bit lackluster.
Well, I think this may actually just be a mitigation of threat draws, because as you said, the Widowmaker from the side of Flippy is incredibly effective, especially on Hollywood second point, but it's not as effective on first or third. Whereas on Numbani, the defense of Eagle Gaming as they come in with Flippy on the Widowmaker is basically impenetrable. We haven't seen many teams able to try and break that. However, it does look like we may see Flippy come out on the Widow again on the defense here.
Just seems so. I hope so.
It's going to be a tale of purple ladies here on Hollywood.
I think so. Well, we'll have to wait and see if Spox is going to change over to something like a Sombra. And we kind of pointed out at the start of the series and at the start of Ilios as well. He's been performing fairly well. There's just seems to be a little bit of discoordination between him and the tanks. There's been a couple of instances, like we saw with the layering of the ultimates, where one of the tanks is getting picked off rather early first up, and then it does lead to Mosaic kind of staggering themselves back, just buying for a little bit more time so they can get the respawns in, and the DPS just throwing out the EMPs rather sporadically as well, not target calling it seems.
So I would like to see Spoxes come out on a Sombra here and see them make a similar attack to what we've seen from Giganti, where they go through the gate and go all the way around the back towards the health bank, get that hacked, and then you can move in and sort of position Reinhardt on the back corner of that point, and then from there you can rotate backwards to get the health back if it's required, if you need a little bit of extra healing. A bit more sustainability, you can try and win a fight out on attrition, because not only will you have a healing advantage, you'll be able to bring in your respawns a lot more quickly than the defenders as well. However, Eagle Gaming, they don't care much about healing with Flippy on this Widowmaker, because he can one-shot everyone. Doesn't worry how much Moira is going to get you up, doesn't matter how many hacked health packs you have behind you, a bullet through the skull is still a bullet through the skull.
Yeah, all the heals in the world can't save you from Flippy's headshots, especially not when he's damage boosted as well by Pipu, who's actually on the Mercy this time around. We're going to see a triple tank come out from the side of Mosaic.
And it's going to be all on Danny here. It's going to be all on Danny to try and get onto Flippy, because the remainder of Mosaic eSports, we don't have much verticality, and they may decide to go for a full change up here in what they want to play. But no, it looks like they're going to be coming in behind Christopher. They need to stick tight to that shield.
They've only got one person that really has any verticality, and that is Danny, and it doesn't look like they're trying to focus his mech first. Kodak is the first to fall, and Flippy
triple
already
headshot.
finding the headshots and already finding the ult as well. There was seemingly nothing you could do if you're Roadhog in that position. Your head's just way too big, way too easy to click on.
What a mad boy, even if he is taking a breather, Flippy isn't going to give him any such chance to take a break. And Mosaic eSports summarily defeated, sent back to spawn, sent packing by the Eagle Gaming defense, who've got 2 offensive ultimates as their reward for this. Flippy's going to see where everyone's coming from, but Flippy may well have got hooked there. Good rescue there from Get Amazed, I can only assume. Oh no, he's actually not in mech, but Nico here, he's got a little bit of a specialty incoming.
He's
so
there
cheeky!
it is! Oh, doesn't quite find anybody and has to use that recall to get out of danger. Doesn't want that pulse bomb killing him. Doesn't like Mosaic going for the old wrap around just to make sure they can control the top of the cafe. Problem is though, Flippy's on the other side of that. He's activated those emphasize as well. He knows exactly where everybody is, but they are all on the point. Nice hook on to Get Amazed to try and make sure he gets demeched rather quickly. Flippy's left still completely alone with Hip on this high ground. It's all about brawling on the point now for Mosaic, although with that ultimate coming out from Pipu, everybody's going to be able to stay alive throughout the onslaught of these tanks.
Good wrap around here from Nox and from Get Amazed as well, making sure that the set on all sides are Mosaic eSports.
Well, there's another supportive ultimates being used by Eagle Gaming. Hip actually blowing that Transcendence. Flippy is going to find Fisher, but Danny finally gets his revenge, and Christopher lays that hammer to the ground. Does manage to take at least one body with him and Get Amazed now finally just getting some kills of his own. Just making sure Danny is desuited, like we mentioned before. The only one really with verticality. They're going to give up 2 ticks on this point, but they're still going to manage to defend.
And Flippy has made the emergency swap now over to the Sombra. He knows his element of surprise is missing, and Danny sort of knows his game. The jig is up. So he's over to the hacker herself. She's going to have a bit more control of the health pack. It's going to play more around the cafe where you've got that mini health pack below, so you've got a whole lot more sustain as you venture out into the great beyond with your machine pistol.
And Sombra's pretty scary into triple tank as well. There's so many abilities that are disabled, just like Roadhogs there. Can't actually eat anything up. There's a big graviton, although I say big, as nothing really actually get caught in it. And if they did, they already died. In fact, him and Pippi were going to be exactly that. Eagle Gaming, you know, falling kind of rampantly here. It did seem that graviton only hitting 2 was all that they actually needed to secure this point. The rest of the DPS and tanks were on the point at the time, and no heals means no more regeneration on your health bars. I don't really know what I was trying to say there, Legday, but regardless, Eagle Gaming do lose the point, and Mosaic are going to get that cart on the roll.
Well, I know what Spoxis was saying. He was making a statement, even if you did hack him. He's an analog boy. He doesn't live in a digital world, and he's still got a load of kills with that scrap gun. However, now Spoxis is going to be right back to spawn. He did swap to Widow, but Hip is going to be giving me a little tutorial in how to play Sniper.
How to play. Oh man, it's always frustrating when you're that Widow player. You get headshot by his head and you're like, yeah, but I clicked on his head. And no, you clearly did not. The Orbits of Destruction just way too strong. Look how far Eagle Gaming are holding up here. We've seen this exact strategy from them before, just making sure they can't get that Widow set up. Although now Spox is actually switching over to that Sombra. Flippy with the big EMP though is going to land on multiple members of Mosaic. They're just going to get run down. Pretty easy hold from them for the time being, and Hip even now using that Transcendence to make sure everybody was more than safe in that engagement.
And another factor of Sombra play that we rarely discuss, also that Sombra can see when you hack people as to how much ultimate they have. So now, Eagle Gaming, they're aware that Danny has the self-destruct. Good teams also usually have the ult tracking for themselves, but now you can absolutely be sure. Eagle Gaming on the defense now, they have the Valkyrie to sustain themselves should it be required, and they may well use that against Mono's sound barrier to make sure they can stay in the fight for a little bit longer.
Do they know Spoxes is near that EMP though? That is the question. They could only assume. There is the sound barrier landing on all 6 members of Mosaic, but Christopher's going to fall regardless. That Discord Orb doing a whole bunch of damage to him. There's the self-destruct. They knew it was coming, so they're going to be able to run for cover. A hack onto, I believe that was Hip, possibly? I'm not entirely sure what Flippy actually got there with the hack, but regardless, Fisher ends up going down anyway. Then he's going to find the hack onto Danny. No more defense matrix and a Discord Orb on him. Actually ejects him straight out the mech. Hack coming through from Mosaic though. Spoxes comes up big, but ends up getting shut down by Hip here. So EMP more just wasted in that opportunity.
That was a zoning EMP, Jaws. It was giving him a chance to escape, as you can see here. Danny running for the high heels. He's almost got his mech back manually, and there it will be. There it is. The remech coming through. Mosaic eSports, they used the sound barrier, but Christopher died first. And when you've got this many mobile tanks and DPS, that's sort of unacceptable. How did you mess up your dive that hard, but with 500 extra HP, your tank didn't win out the tank door? But now Flippy's going to be looking for a couple of targets. He's got his eyes on a couple of them. He's going to have to decide where it goes.
They jumped straight into him, but it doesn't really matter actually, as Fisher finds 2 with a pulse bomb. Both Nico and Hip end up going down. That coalescence from the back. Hip with the relocation on the Moira was able to get to herself to the back lines and easily get the D-suit, and that's going to be a rather quick push here by Mosaic. They're going to have to make it quick. 60 seconds left on the clock. Eagle Gaming might just have one more fight left in them. They do have Transcendence available.
Excellent execution there from Mosaic eSports to all get hacked and also still have a really clean fight. They evidently bought some good antivirus, but it's going to be Mono who needs it now. He's on the run from Flippy.
Hip activates that Transcendence. That Primal Rage from Christopher to keep him alive right now. Danny activates that Self-Destruct. Almost gets taken out. Can he get the remake? He can in the end. May still fighting onto this car. Nico with that Pulse Bomb is trying to find a big target here, but the question is he going to be able to make it stick? A hack onto Spoxes. Make sure he can't use that Translocator to be able to get away. And now Nico can run rampant. Get a Maze is going to help him finish off a couple of targets as well. And Flippy, he's going to look towards another EMP in this next fight. He's already up to a 60%, and oh boy, does he charge it quickly.
And the lack of homework there from Spoxes really sort of diminished Mosaic eSports' ability to win that game. You should have seen the health pack that's on the left of your screen right now, hacked by Spoxes while he had that free time while Eagle Gaming were resetting. But now it's a final fight. Christopher's on the point, but not for long.
Christopher jumps in straight away, and Discord Orb and a bubble, and he's got nowhere left to hide. Spoxes jumps down from the roof, trying to make something work, but Flippy with that hack, just making sure those songs are fully on mute. He picks up himself another kill onto Kodak, an EMP to just finish off the round, and that'll be Eagle Gaming only making sure Mosaic can cap one of these points. So close to the second, but it was all on Hip coming out of the gate with that Transcendence that kept him in.
Holding strong, and we can see just how much confidence Eagle Gaming have in Flippy with his Sombra. They decided, you know what, on On Hollywood second, one of the most prolific points for Widowmaker in the game, we're going to have our star Widowmaker go on Sombra. And I really think if Spoxes had hacked that health pack, I saw where Christopher was going with that Primal Rage to try and get onto Hip in the backline. He could have easily picked up that health pack, denied it from Zenyatta, and potentially won out that fight. But unfortunately, they sort of forgot to do their homework there, didn't set up the battleground in your favor. And when you are fighting Sombra v Sombra, you got to really take that territorial control into mind. It's a whole new layer of Overwatch which you need to try and take into account before fights. A lot more preparation time can be required.
Mosaic now on the defense. Only 113 meters stand Eagle Gaming in the way of victory for this map and put them on to match point as well. Now, what do we see them run out the gate? Because Mosaic, we know they're fairly good on this Reinhardt. They've made it work before. Quad tank straight into the offense. Could be working on the defense as well, but we're seeing Spoxes kind of sticking with this Sombra pick. Not too much of a surprise here. It's been one of his most hyped up heroes over the last couple of weeks, but Christopher on this Winston.
An alternative approach to what we commonly see, which is the trifecta of Mercies in Yata and Soldier 76 on top of a Cafe. However, instead, we're going to be seeing a Lucio, a Sombra, and that Moira. So this means there's going to be a lot more mobile on the side of Mosaic eSports. It's going to be making some 6-man dives. We're going to be able to usher Kodak in with the speed boost, courtesy of Mono, so they don't have to burn the Fade to get in range to try and heal Christopher and Danny when they dive in deep. And it's going to be all about trying to catch Eagle Gaming off kilter here, try and hit them while they're preparing when they're not ready to make a fight happen. We'll have to see if Danny can scout out and really call out what the play is here for Mosaic eSports. We need to strike hard, we need to strike fast, and we need to make sure Eagle Gaming can't set up people in positions where Flippy can take advantage of long sightlines. However, he has swapped over to the Sombra now. It's going to be a mirror matchup here.
Yeah, Flippy sending out that Sonic Arrow on the Hanzo just to make sure Mosaic weren't pulling any funny business off onto the side just before you get out of spawn. They're going to find their way onto the point. Did try and find a hack, and in fact, Kodak just getting interrupted time and time again. Flippy having a little bit of an unlucky time right now, just trying to get the hack onto somebody. I believe he did hack Lucio in the end, but it didn't really seem to matter because Eagle Gaming couldn't actually get onto the back line. Nico pushing forward is going to have to be very careful because if he gets hacked, we've seen what happens to Lucio, to Tracer players, they just end up melting.
You can see just how important the tank play is here. That chip damage moving onto Sombra really can interrupt her hack. Pulse bombs are exchanged here, Spoxes and Hipper down.
Yeah, Danny's going to get demeked as well. Looks like a clean sweep as Nico and Nox are able to clean up the rest. Health pack hack didn't really seem to help too much. Spoxes on about 80% and Flippy moving towards that EMP now as we move on to the set of Hollywood.
Yes, a plethora of ultimates will be available soon for Eagle Gaming, and that will help usher them forward as we move into the Wild Wild West, or second section of Hollywood. The payload is in motion. They're going to be transporting that limousine forward. We need to see if Mosaic eSports are going to try and make a close hold like Eagle Gaming did right at the door. Looks like Spox is going to be trying to make that happen. Here come his reinforcements.
Very aggressive straight onto Nico, but he's still alive somehow, just threw out the hack. Christopher gets pushed into the cafe as well. Nowhere to run as they were blocked off from actually getting him to heal, well, getting heals to him. Nico's going to be able to clean up the rest. That EMP worked out for them for the time being, but Flippy, as soon as he saw the tanks diving in, unleashed his own, and that was really all said and done for Mosaic.
I really like that Gedamaze had such a good knowledge of a knockback there and where he could position Christopher. They made sure they could put him in the room with a hacked health pack of Flippy, so that there was very little survivability available for the Winston. They caged him up and they put him down, and that meant that Eagle Gaming could then have easy pickings on the remainder of Mosaic eSports.
No, Danny, they can see he's got the ultimate now. Flippy, unfortunately, doesn't have the EMP to stop that sound barrier, but apparently it didn't even matter. Big self-destruct coming through, although not quite finding anybody just yet. Fisher does find Gedamaze. Nico just being an absolute menace in the back line. His team are falling around to. The problem is he couldn't actually find a health pack, so it wasn't too much of an impact in the fight. Flippy now just trying to build up towards that EMP. Going to translocate backwards. They're just satisfied with how that fight went. They got the payload fairly far. The issue is, well, the issue was Mono unleashing that sound barrier. Too many chunky targets for Mosaic.
Now Spoxes, he has EMP, doesn't need to go forward and poke, so I want to see him really try and get some territory control, as we see there with the health pack. But Fisher can't blink into it. He's going to rely on the Moira. Oh, and there's the counter hack from Spoxes.
Oh boy, couldn't get in.
Hacker.
Couldn't get out. Translocators completely disabled. There is Mosaic now pushing forward with the Coalescence and a Pulse Bomb onto Nox as well. Fisher is just a field day for him. No one can hide from him at this moment. Even that forward health pack, he did try to pick it up, but unfortunately that's not yours, buddy.
Spoxes has held onto the EMP as well, so he's going to have to go and maybe pick up a couple of other health packs, make sure the territory control is always in favor of Mosaic on the defense here. They can't allow Flippy to start controlling territory to make sure that his tanks can last for longer. They're going to be positioning up here, maybe having a look to see if that health pack's still hacked, if that can be an effective base of operations, but they're going to find it's going to be a couple of seconds before it becomes available.
EMP versus EMP now, but Eagle Gaming do have that sound barrier online. Flippy ends up going down before he can unleash it, and Christopher leaps on out of combat as he did. He was in that primal rage. He was fairly tanky, but Nox pays the backline a bit of a visit with Nico. They were left completely unawares. Even the Moira didn't even have fade, and Nox now unleashing that primal rage. He's going to be able to find Fish out and desuit Danny and eventually find the kill. They used the sound barrier in that fight, but they've still got the EMP available.
Yeah, probably a little bit of a frivolous use of the sound barrier there from Pepu, but maybe you just want to secure that. We'll have to see if Flippy's going to be a bit more intelligent than Spoxes was and go and control some territory prior to coming in here. You can see that Spoxes is scouting out that health pack. He's ready to see if it can be available for hacking, but Nico's going to be there defending it, warding away the enemy Sombra.
Flippy is going to jump straight in. He's going to find an EMP, but only landed onto one. Get a mace, finds the two-piece though with the bombs. Spoxes and Mono are going to go down, and now Nico, free to reign wherever he chooses, is going to find himself a Moira, although she fades away on top of the health pack, and hitting that right click, you get HP back when you're doing that, so didn't want to actually take the one-on-one. Just happy now to just force themselves back on the point. Codex keep Danny's alive for the time being, but an instant desuit after that self-destruct. Just make sure she cannot get any value off that mech. Get amazed, ends up getting back up again. He had a nice two-piece earlier, and he's just running rampant in the back lines, finally finding Danny, and he's just fighting one-on-one on the point, although fairly low. He's only got Pipu and Flippy as backup as Nico comes back in fairly quickly, but so many squishy targets now and all the healing. Can they make it work?
Kodak's going to be there with a lot of healing, and the hack's coming out as well. The Pulsum hit the ground, but it was a little bit of a fluff. The remainder of Mosaic eSports can getting quickly here.
1 minute 30 seconds still left. They've got 3 meters to work with as well. No Flippy EMP just yet, and Spoxes is already down. There's Eagle Gaming with a big sound barrier hitting all 6 members, and Get Amazed once again finds 2 with the self-destruct. Nothing escaped this guy. Another hack onto the Winston just doesn't mean he can't do anything. He's trying to jump away, but it is all on Christopher now to delay the point. There's the EMP Flippy was looking for. They're going to bring the cart through, and it is 2 points on the board for Eagle Gaming and match point.
Out go the lights, and onto match point go Eagle Gaming. So many EMPs we saw that time, Jaws. And something that I've seen from a lot of Sombras over the course of all of EU contenders is that they're making some very courageous efforts with EMPs, trying to engage with a translocator and then EMP in the air. But sometimes you want to try and put the translocator back and move in manually with your stealth, with your camo for your EMP, so you have the element of surprise a little bit. You can use the EMP and then you can get out when you're in danger. And what we saw is because Spoxes tried to engage with the EMP and the translocator got taken out by Get Amazed with that self-destruct, and that sort of set Mosaic on the back foot for the entirety of that fight.
Yeah, you know she's coming in as well. If you hit that self-destruct button, you're kind of expecting that EMP, you're tracking the ultimate times, and it can be kind of hard to track EMPs sometimes as well because of the rate it actually builds. Self-destruct, we saw it twice in that fight. Get Amazed, finding 2 people, ended up securing the victory for Eagle Gaming. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. We'll be right back in a moment.